Hello there, welcome to Bryan Lomax Movie Talk and day 13 of my August Alphabet Challenge. We're on to the letter M and you guys voted for My Left Foot, which is a film directed by Sheridan. It stars Daniel Day-Lewis and Brenda Fricker. So the full title of this film is My Left Foot, The Story of Christy Brown. Obviously, it's Christy Brown's story. It's based on a true story about a man named Christy Brown who had cerebral palsy and, kind of overcome all the odds that were against him to become a successful artist. He would paint with his left foot. He used his left foot in the same way anybody would usually use their arm, their hands. It's all about his life. It shows us him growing. It shows us him growing up, and the struggles that he has to deal with, the stigma that is attached to him by the rest of society, and the ways in which he overcomes those obstacles. Now, I'm a really big Daniel Day-Lewis fan. He's probably, I always say, he's my second favourite actor of all time after Philip Seymour Hoffman. I just think that he's one of those few that literally disappears into whatever role he's doing, where you just totally believe he is that character. And certainly this is no different. He got an Oscar for this role, and blimey, it's certainly understandable. It's certainly well deserved, it must be said. Now, I went into this film with some trepidation because I always think, to be honest, I always think of Tropic Thunder. You know, I always think of Robert Downey Jr.'s character in that, the moment you are dealing with a film in which an actor who doesn't have a disability is playing someone with a disability, you're always fighting against those words of Robert Downey Jr.'s character in Tropic Thunder, it's very hard to not laugh sometimes at that. But what Daniel Day-Lewis is doing in this film is absolutely incredible, to the point where, once again, I forget I'm watching an actor. I totally buy him in this role. I totally believe that he's got cerebral palsy in this movie. Like, the commitment he shows to this role, right down to the whole doing everything with his foot himself. He's known for his method acting. He's known for diving deep into things and becoming things for a stretch of time, and that shows here because we have scenes in which he's painting with his foot, and you're just like, they could have got a stunt person to do that. They could have got someone with cerebral palsy to do that and cut from the foot to the face, but it takes you out of the moment. Whereas here, like the opening shot of the film is Christy Brown painting with his foot. We got a close-up on his foot. Normally, you would expect the camera to cut then to the face of the actor, and it doesn't. It pans up, and we see this is Daniel Day-Lewis doing this, and it's just like, he just disappears into the role. He is the role, and it's an amazing performance. I never at any point think I'm watching an actor. It's just that opening shot. I'm like, is this going to be Daniel Day-Lewis? Is that going to be his foot? It is. Blimey. And then after that, I don't think about it. From that point on, I'm just like, this is Christy Brown. Boom. Just brilliant, mesmerising performance. Someone else who's really good in this film is Brenda Fricker, who I always remember from the 80s TV show Bread. I see her face and I'm instantly taken back to my childhood when we'd watch Bread on a Saturday afternoon. She's done a lot more than that, but for some reason that's what always pops into my head. But no, she's really good in this. She plays the mother, and very believable. She's not perfect. She's not a perfect woman, but her love for Christy Brown is. It's a perfect love. It's one that, just she'll do anything for him. And she's, all the way through the film, she's kind of struggling against a husband who loves his family, but he's a very insecure man, and that shows in many ways. He likes to lay down the law because it makes him feel more secure about himself. And it isn't that he doesn't love his family. He's just embarrassed by stigma. And like there's a really nice moment when Christy Brown as a child suddenly writes something with his foot that is legible, that they can understand. And his father just gets elated and takes him down to the pub on his shoulders. And it's just, it's a shame. It's a shame that it has to, that there is that kind of thing with his father where until he proves that he does have certain wits about him, that he can't seem to express his love for him. But on the flip side of that same coin, it does allow for beautiful moments like that where you realise this man does love his son and wants to be proud of him and wants to take him out and show him to people. It's just the stigma that I guess is built up around it in society, and his own insecurities prevent him from doing that. But the mother character by Brenda Fricker, she's spending all this kind of time and energy trying to save up for Christy's new wheelchair. She wants him to get a new wheelchair, and I really love how Brenda Fricker just plays that motherly aspect of this character. This woman who will do anything for her son and has to hide things from her husband. She's putting away little bits of money in this tin and kind of stuffing it under the chimney, and it's just I remember being a kid in the 80s, and while we weren't quite as destitute as this family appears to be, a lot of it rings true for me. And obviously I didn't grow up in Ireland either. I grew up in northwest England, but we didn't have carpets or central heating or double glazing until I was 18 years old. I slept on a bedroom floor on a mattress that had no carpet, and it's just like, that's not a sob story. It's just the way we grew up back then, and we didn't think anything of it. I think our parents thought it was, it's really bad. It's like, I hate that we're living like this. But as a kid, it was just an adventure. It was just we didn't care as long as we were at home, as long as we were with family. And I feel like there's an element of that here in this film. With the father character aside, he has some rough moments. I still feel like this is a pretty strong family unit. Like when the brothers and the sisters take Christy Brown out in this wheelbarrow thing, and they face stigma from people on the outside, but they rail against it, and they force the people around them to accept their brother, whether they like it or not. And I love those scenes. I love the scenes in this film about the family unit, the strength of the family unit when they come together. There's a plot thread that runs throughout the film as well, where Christy is falling in love with his physio. So he has this physio, speech therapist, and he's just basically doing exercises with him to help his speech be more understandable. And he falls in love with her. And it's just, you see this disaster kind of making its way ever closer to us, in the sense that we know that she loves him in a platonic kind of way, but never will in a relationship, sexual relationship kind of way. And it's just, it's a tragedy in the making. But how it's dealt with is just really touching. It puts you into the place, into the position of Christy Brown and people like him, people with cerebral palsy, whose minds are perfectly fine. You know what I mean? It's like we have this stigma that there's something wrong with them, but it's just like their minds are fine. When you're talking to someone with cerebral palsy, they understand you completely fine. They could probably educate you on a few things or two that you don't even realize. It's like there's a scene in the film when Christy as a child is trying to do this math sum. He has the answer to a math sum and he's trying to write it down, but because he can't quite work the pen because of his physical ailment, he's unable to show his mental abilities and the fact that he knows this thing that everyone else doesn't. And it is this I just think it does a really remarkable job of making you feel what he's going through, this prison cell of his body that he is trapped in. And it's frustrating. And when he gets frustrated, you get frustrated. And it's just, yeah, in that respect, it's an issues movie. It's Oscar bait in that respect. But I think sometimes we can dismiss films too easily because they carry the Oscar bait label. I think sometimes certain films are necessary. Certain films kind of tap us into something that we need to be tapped into, and I think this is definitely one of them. But I don't think you should let that put you off, because it's not all serious and dark and making a statement that you need to hear. There's some lighter touches to it as well. There's a lot of really funny moments. I mean, Christy Brown's sense of humour, for a start, throughout the film. He always has this sense of humour. There's a dark patch in the middle where he kind of loses that for a bit, but for the most part he has a sense of humour. Even when his dad is being aggressive and kind of scary, as a family, when you're looking at the kids and the way that sometimes the dad is. I mean, it's all bravado, it's all show with the father, but it's still scary. If you imagine yourself being one of the children, you would very much be scared by this man at times. But Christy Brown doesn't allow that to affect him. He doesn't allow that to... he doesn't allow his father to scare him. And there's times when he breaks moments of tension with a joke, with an off-the-cuff comment, which makes everybody else laugh. And yeah, it's a really great character study with an amazing performance. And brilliant direction from Jim Sheridan, a director I really like, actually, very unsung director, even though he's been nominated 6 times for an Oscar, which is insane, quite frankly, but he's done some amazing films. I think The Boxer, I think In the Name of the Father, and my personal favourite, In America, they are all amazing movies. And I think you can add this one to the list. I certainly am going to add it to the list. Yeah, I think it's fantastic. I will say, now I watched this on DVD, and for whatever reason, this isn't the first time I've said this in this August Alphabet Challenge, but this particular version of the film, as with the candidate that I watched, it was in 4:3, not 16:9, and I'm pretty sure this got a cinema release. I'm pretty sure it was made for cinemas. So yeah, I didn't watch this in a widescreen format. I watched it in a 4:3. Obviously, it was the cut they put out on television. So yeah, I would like to see it in its proper 16:9 ratio. I believe it was shot in 16:9 originally. I would hope so at any rate. But I think that took away from some of my pleasure in watching it, because I felt like I was watching a TV movie and not a cinema piece. But as you know, if this was a made-for-TV movie, it's certainly one of the best I've ever seen. So I'm going to give this a 4 out of 5. If you've seen My Left Foot, I would like to know what you thought about it. So please do let me know in the comments below. Also, while you're down there, check out the description box and check out the links for the August Alphabet Challenge, where you can donate towards the cause that we're trying to raise money for, which is to build a women's refuge centre in Zambia. I would really appreciate any donations you can make. If you are not in a position to make a donation, it's totally understandable, but what you can do is you can click that thumbs up and you can share this video on social media just to get the word out there. That would be a really big help. But yeah, until tomorrow, where we'll be moving on to the letter N and reviewing Night of the Living Dead. Thank you for watching this video, and until then, cracking.